Last time on Follow Intrepid Bear, we sailed to Plymouth, stocked the boat up, rode out a couple of storms, explored and, for a brief moment, thought something really serious was happening. Join us now as we pursue our long-held dream of sailing to the Isles of Scilly. Stick around to see how that works out. This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat off to explore the world with her crew Ian and Kate.
Come aboard and let's see what's out there.
After an uneventful sail from Plymouth to the Helford River, we departed Helford as dawn broke. Unfortunately, the GoPro decided to freeze and lost the early part of the voyage, leaving us with just some phone footage of everybody's favourite sailing companions. The GoPro decided to rejoin us just off of Land's End. Okay, so we're just sort of passing Land's End. That means we are now in the Atlantic Ocean. So about 30 miles left to Scilly, which is quite exciting for us. We've been trying to get to Scilly for several years and it just never fitted in with the holiday time that we had. So we tried on Dark Island, the big white sailboat we used to have, and got weatherbound in Salcombe. And then we tried last year on this boat and it all looked really good for a 2.5-week holiday that we had. The weather was northerly, which would have been a perfect sail straight from Poole to Scilly. But oh no, we got out around Portland Bill and it was kind of southwest. So that didn't happen either and we just made it to Corsand in Plymouth. But now we're off of Land's End. It's kind of, well, struggle to turn back now to be honest. So barring any disaster, we'll be landing in Scilly in probably 4 or 5 hours still. But yeah, really exciting. I say we're going to celebrate a bit if we actually make it because it's been a long time coming.
And then our first view of Scilly's stunning coastline as we approach the island of St Mary's. It was then just a brief trip round to the harbour where we got our first surprise.
There should be a loop on the chain. It needs to go on the cleat.
There isn't.
Nothing at all. Indeed, there was no loop. The moorings in Scilly's are not what we're used to. So that chain, not this shackle, that's ours. That chain, just a blank end, that's all you get on a mooring in Scilly. You pull it up on the green line, pickup buoy, and then all you get is that. So when it's a bit rough, and you just got that lump of chain coming up at you, and you're trying to thread a rope through it like this is just our backup line, and that's all you get. We've now attached the shackle, which is our anchor bridle, onto it, so it's secure. But yeah, not ideal, I don't think. The next morning there were some chores to deal with, and as the dinghy was not yet inflated, the kayak was pressed into service to take the rubbish ashore. Yeah, first landfall on St Mary's in the Scilly Isles. Just really needed some milk and bread. But here's the harbour. And then a little chat to camera that, unbeknown to us, was a hint of things to come. Phew, so Isles of Scilly. Yeah, it's really pretty. We may not have been trumpeting our arrival quite as you might have expected because we came in some quite lively conditions and then had a really rough night in the harbour. So it wasn't the glorious sunniest welcome to the dream that we were hoping for. But that doesn't dampen our enthusiasm. Unfortunately, there's another blow coming through tonight and St Mary's Harbour is going to get a little bit lumpy again. I think they call it Hewtown Harbour. So we're going to move. We're going to go up to St Helens Pool, which is about 10 miles around the outside of the islands. We could go between the islands, but we need some serious tide for that and we don't get that till later in the afternoon. So we're going to let go up around the northwest of the islands through the Northwest Passage and come down the top into St Helens Pool, and then we'll anchor there. That's supposed to be protected from all directions because there's meant to be about 30 knot gusts again tonight, so we'd really like a nice protected anchorage where we're not rolling around all night. So yeah, that's what we're going to do.
You see there's a bit about no indication on tidal streams at St Helens Pool, which should be similar to the ones in New Grimsby Sound.
It's Kate checking the pilotage into St Helens Pool. We have plotted a course on the chart plotter and on the phone, but it's good that we both know what to expect as we're going in there because the navigation around here, excuse me, I've got a mint humbug in my mouth. Navigation around here is quite tight. Quite tight is a bit of an understatement. Although you do get used to it, on first arrival, navigating amongst the many islands can best be described as point the bow towards a big snarly rock, and just before you hit it, turn and point at the next big snarly rock. It does call for some serious concentration at the helm. So we successfully rigged our way through the rocks and dropped anchor in St Helens Pool. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before the weather took a turn for the worst.
This is the reality of our trip to the city so far. So it's blowing 26, 27, sometimes 30 knots of wind. The sun hasn't quite gone down yet, but it's on its way. We're sat here in what is relatively a fairly protected anchorage, hobby horsing right to ourselves, waiting for the wind to switch from southeasterly to westerly, which should do the next hour or two, and hopefully getting a little more protection than we've got now. But yeah, great rock and roll on a Friday night.
We quickly discovered that whilst pretty safe in anything other than a full storm, St Helens Pool was not necessarily comfortable. These Atlantic rollers were right on the edge of the pool and the swell rolled in. We suffered several sleep-deprived nights with no better shelter available, and it would be fair to say our silly dream was taking a real battering. And then, for an all too brief moment, the winds eased enough for us to get ashore. The sun came out and the full rugged beauty of the islands was revealed. Sadly, it didn't last, and after another sleepless night on anchor watch, we headed for a mooring in Old Grimsby Sound in the hope of feeling more secure and getting a good night's sleep. So, Isles of Scilly. Wow. That's a serious wind since we got here, and it's really blowing about 25-30 knots at the moment. Some things do get old quite quickly, and incessant wind is one of them. I mustn't whinge about the lifestyle we've got because it is amazing, but we've had some pretty rough conditions, just apart from the one day which we managed to get across here. It's just been blowing incessantly since. And in Scilly, the Isles of Scilly, there is no one anchorage, or there's no marinas, there's no one place that will protect you from all angles. So as the wind goes around, you've got to try and move. Last night we were in St Helens Pool, which looks like it will be absolutely amazing when we get the weather. But we had to stand anchor watches overnight because we just weren't satisfied that we were safe, so we did that. This morning, 6 o'clock, we were up, engine on, moved to a mooring buoy over in Old Grimsby Sound, Old Grimsby Harbour. Out on the entrance to the sound, there's waves breaking out there from the Atlantic swell, and some of them are coming in here. You can probably see me going up and down. It's probably showing. So yeah, like I say, don't want to moan, but it's not fun at the moment. This is the reality of cruising, is sometimes it's not fun. It's actually quite hard work trying to get the boat onto that mooring there. Wow, that was a workout. And when it's nice, when this settles down eventually, there's another strong gale coming in and a couple of days time. Hopefully we get a couple of days of decent weather. Then there's another mega gale coming in with 50 or 60 knots. We've got to find some safety from that. When that's all calmed down and the sun comes out and summer starts, because it will, won't it? Summer will start. This place is going to be fantastic and we will show you that. But right now, wow, we are paying our dues, I think is the word. So yeah, let's fingers crossed for a little bit of decent weather coming our way soon. But let's go back inside and get the kettle on, I guess. Look, my hair's even blowing in the wind. I think I need a haircut. Unfortunately, during that night, the tide put the boat broadside to all of those swells, and so there was once again very little sleep. In the morning, with heavy hearts, we made the trip back to St Mary's Island and we took a B&B for the night. Not only was our silly dream in tatters, but we were questioning our whole lifestyle. It is quite incredible how a good night's sleep and a walk in stunning surroundings can restore balance and perspective. Amazing rock structures, almost look like they're built there. I've been to Disneyland in Florida and they build rocks like these out of polystyrene and fiberglass and stuff. These almost look like they've been made. But I guess that just means Disney did a good job of recreating them. Having a decent sleep had also brought with it some clarity of thought. And we decided that with a very powerful storm inbound, the sensible decision for us was to return to the safety of a mainland harbour. It's nice to just sit and take it all in.
Enjoy it before we leave it for now.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Decision made and spirits lifted, we returned to the boat and made ready for sea. The dinghy was stowed and passage food prepared, ready for a dawn departure the following day.
So possibly going to be on the go 14 hours tomorrow. There's just sorts of bits and bobs in there to keep you going.
Snackage.
There'll be a ham sandwich on top as well. So you've got squishy pretzels, there's sweet stuff and savoury stuff.
Yummy.
And ham and onion sandwich. With the storm still some way out in the Atlantic, we slipped the mooring by dawn's early light on course for the relative safety of Mile Yacht Harbour in Falmouth. Sailing conditions ahead of the storm turned out to be pretty favourable.
Then we had an amazing visit, but it took us a while to work out what they were.
It's a whale. I thought it was stuck in a top. You can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh my god, is that a shark?
It's not a shark. It is I think it might be a small whale.
I can see its face. There it is.
Where?
Still under water there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Dolphin. Oh wow, it was a whale. I don't know. Sorts of types of dolphin, aren't they?
Yeah. It turned out to be a pod of Risso's dolphins. Quite rare in these parts, and even rarer for them to actually interact and swim alongside a boat. But what a treat on a lovely sail home after the rough time we'd had out in Scilly. With our spirits well and truly lifted, we soon passed the shipping lanes at the end of Land's End, rounded the Lizard, and were on final approach up in towards Falmouth. Final approach to Falmouth after nearly 12 hours, no, more than 12 hours. Treated to a great sail for the last bit, 7 knots at the moment, and that's against the tide. We've got 12 to 14 knots on the beam, and we are literally creaming along on a flat sea. So there we are, all secure, Mile Yacht Harbour, Falmouth Harbour. The storm's coming in tomorrow morning. You wouldn't believe it looking around though. Eerily quiet. But yeah, so it's made extra eerie by the fact that we're expecting such a big storm tomorrow. We're due to get it from the south. South is over there. So that's well protected by the land. That's where the storm's supposed to start. And then it's going to go around to the west, which is over there. So that's might come down the valley a little bit, but we're on a lying off the pontoon. I always prefer to lie off the pontoon in the wind, so the wind will blow us away from the pontoon, because if the wind ends up blowing you onto the pontoon, all your fenders just get crushed and you get rammed up really hard against the pontoons. It's really, I much prefer personally to be holding off. So all the lines are doubled, 2 bow lines, 2 spring lines, same there, same on the stern. Everything's secure, so a glass of wine and get some sleep, I think. Good night. See what it's like tomorrow. As it turns out, the forecast was spot on, leaving us very happy that we were not out in the Isles of Scilly. So certainly in this episode has been an emotional roller coaster, but we did learn quite a lot from it, didn't we?
Yes, we learned firstly to not get fixated on a dream and at all costs getting there.
Yeah, so but what about so we had a good weather window to get there. What was the issue?
Yeah, it was silly. It was the weather while we were there, so we spent so much time considering and finding the right weather to finally get there, and was so excited that we had the weather to get there. We didn't contemplate or consider what about weather while we're there. No,
in Scilly there isn't necessarily somewhere you can run to. There are safe places, but there are not comfortable safe places necessarily. Yeah, and sleep deprivation is a massive thing. Everything looks pretty dark when you haven't had any sleep.
The other thing we learnt about was our dinghy.
Yeah, we decided not to get davits for the dinghy because we thought we might have a wind vane one day. We've got davits now and the dinghy stays inflated on the back. Dinghy not being readily available was a big issue, which we've now rectified, and you'll see that in a couple of episodes time.
Yeah.
The good thing is we did question our whole existence for a little while because we were so fed up. We thought, well, can we really handle this lifestyle? We were wondering if it was right for us. But once we'd had a bit of sleep and we'd actually made a decision, that really lifted a weight off, sailed back, and then we will return, and you will see that it'll be a lot brighter in Scilly, and it actually is a very beautiful place. Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.